My wonderful friend, how are you?
My beautiful psychic sister. I'm fantastic. How are you this fine day?
I'm great. I am so excited for New Orleans. I can't handle it because we're about a month and a half away. Which, guys, you should come see us in New Orleans doing our first ever live show at the Always Lounge on October 4th. And we're fucking award nominated. So, like, get on this shit to see us in our award nominated glory in the flesh live.
Please and thank you.
We'd love to see you there. Yes. You can find all that at our wonderful website, anotherfuckinghorrorpodcast.com. So check that shit out. Yeah, I honestly that's kind of it for my week. I've just been working on New Orleans stuff.
I know. It's so soon. I'm so excited.
Oh my god, girl. I'm so excited. I can't actually handle it.
Right? I'm just dreaming of beignets right now. Like, it's
I'm dreaming
nonstop.
of it all. All of it.
Yes.
Girl,
It's going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited. What about you? Anything other than just working like a crazy person?
Working like a crazy person, a show I have been looking forward to for what feels like 100 years, finally premiered. And I'm so fucking excited.
Which one?
Alien Earth.
Oh, how is that?
I love it. I'm obsessed. I need every episode right now, immediately. Immediately.
Yeah, because they've been promoting that for fucking ever.
Yeah.
That I thought I'd already aired.
No, it just came out this week. First 2 episodes, which thankfully they dropped an extra one. I'm taking it as a personal gift to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, FX.
So far it meets expectations.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's very bloody, very gory. I was worried they were like gonna really like
Gonna tone it
tease
down.
you.
Oh, okay.
That, but also they were really gonna like tease you and like you wouldn't see the alien for a few episodes. But no, right out the fucking
it's
gate.
like confessional with the alien being like, so this is my thought process. Love
Yes.
that. Incredible.
Oh my god, if that actually was in the show, I would die. That'd be so funny.
Amazing.
And one of my favorite actors of all time is in it. So he
Who?
stole my heart. Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, girl.
Sploosh. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Girl, get the fuck on it. Yes.
Noted. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I love me a Timothy Oliphant. Does anyone not? Is anyone like,
I don't think so.
I think he's like universally beloved and splooshed. No?
Correct.
Like even like all
Facts.
genders. Like even men who are like straight are like, yeah, I'd fuck
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I get it. No judgments. Like, we're all on the same page here.
Mm-hmm. You know what's super fucked up? I've never seen Justified, which is like his like number one thing.
Same. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am the same way, and I feel very bad for that because isn't
Walton Goggins
in it too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Walton Goggins is in it right out the gate.
I think you're right. I think it's.
But I know he's like a bad guy.
Yeah. Which
he's
great casting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So I need to watch Alien Earth. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
And Justified.
To it. Also, you were a huge Fargo fan, correct? The show?
I've only seen the first 2 seasons, unfortunately.
It's the same director as that. I don't know if you know.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Noah Hawley.
Right.
He's fantastic. He also did Legion, which I love and was super good. So, Noah Hawley, you're fucking nailing it. Thank you for making all my dreams come true. Hour-long episodes, Monique.
Damn. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm like
I need to sort my shit out.
But yes.
We can hear it though.
Yes. The fact that like 2 episodes dropped and that's basically the length of an entire Alien film.
Correct.
It's really great.
Does it fall like is there like a specific timeline like in between certain movies or is it like completely its own different thing?
It takes place 2 years before Alien, the first movie.
Got it. Work. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So like technically you don't need to really be a fan of the movies, watch any of the movies because none of that's really going to become relevant. But, you know, I always highly recommend them.
So it's a prequel to the whole situation.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. It's so good. The special effects are great.
Fuck yeah. They
Very
have to
bloody.
Be.
Very
You
gory.
can't fuck around with Alien in 2025.
Absolutely not. Anyway, yeah, highly recommend. I'm like chomping at the bit for the next episode.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to wait week to week,
Noted.
Monique. I'm like, I'm actually really distressed about it.
I like, maybe it's because I'm Catholic. I do like the stress and the pain of
You
waiting.
like the tease? Ugh.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
tracks. And because I'm, a heathen and a hedonist, I'm like, I want it all right now.
Oh no, I mean, same. Of course, but there's a thing about like the anticipation, right? The way of like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? And I think maybe that kind of one, just growing up, obviously that's how television worked, right? Until streaming. But like, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. Sunday night on Nick at Night, they would show Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And the thing is that when you make like a TV show now, like on a regular like cable or whatever the fuck, where you're factoring in commercials, the half-hour episode's actually 21 minutes. Same thing with
Yes.
our episode's 42 minutes to factor in all the commercials. But the thing is, back in the day, they didn't do that. A half hour was a fucking half hour, or an hour was an hour, right? And because they would just do like a spot in the beginning where like whoever the fuck, like Lucille Ball would come out and be like, Marlboro cigarettes are fucking great. Although I think Philip Morris was actually their sponsor. So they'd have like a spot and then there'd be no commercials, right? So Alfred Hitchcock Presents was longer because of the commercials. And my bedtime would be in the middle of the episode. So we'd watch the first half, like record the second half,
No.
go to bed, go to school, do our homework, and then be able to watch how it ended. Which is like, I mean, I think realistically, Alfred Hitchcock's like wet dream, because he was all about,
The
there's no,
suspense.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
the master suspense, right? There's no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it.
Yes.
And I don't know if that like wired my brain of like, yeah, I'll fuck with this. I'm pretty cool with
Yeah.
that.
That seems like it would have an effect on you.
Yeah. I mean, but I enjoy the like, oh my God, like it literally the anticipation.
Yeah.
So I dig that.
Leaves you on a cliffhanger.
But will I binge the fuck out of things? Also, yeah, for sure.
Correct.
I'm not above that. If you're gonna offer it to me, then fuck. Okay. I guess
I'm
the
only
next
human.
8 hours are gone, but that's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Noted.
I know.
All right.
I'm so excited. That's basically all I watched this week, and I'm not mad about it.
Fantastic.
So good. I need you to watch it so I have somebody else to talk to about this.
Okay, that'll be my homework this week.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
If you have time, no pressure. But
I might. But what is time, Amy?
what?
Just a construct. What is that? I don't know her.
Oh my God, it's too real. Every day has felt like a different day to me. Like Tuesday felt like Friday. Like I don't even know. I don't know what's going on.
I think there is like a thing going around about that though, because I have a meeting on Sunday, like a coaching session thing. And the person that I'm doing it with, who's like very successful, very on top of it, on 2 different occasions has been like, so this is for our thing tomorrow. And it's like, no. Or it's like today. And it's like, no. And I've worked with this person for like years and years and years, and it's never happened. And it happened like twice. So I was like, okay, there's some weird. I also know Mercury just like went out of retrograde. I don't know. What is time?
What is time?
Girl.
It's time for alien motherfucking Earth is what it's time for. I'm sorry. I'll stop now.
Facts. I love this. I love seeing you so excited. Alien is your #1 jam.
It really is.
All right, girl, I got to check this out.
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching it with Johnny, and I had to keep reminding myself that his comments were strictly because he was also very excited and were not a commentary on my own knowledge of Alien. Because he would say things like, this is a shot for shot of like the opening scene of the first movie. And I had to be like,
shut the fuck up.
It's not. I'm like, he knows you know that. He's very aware you know that. He's not telling you. He's just excited. He's just stating it in excitement.
Yeah.
Because I was like getting in my head about it. I'm like, does he think I don't know fucking Alien? Like, I was fucking Ripley for Halloween.
Yeah, you broke Halloween. It was incredible. Yeah. It was incredible. I understand that. that. because I get that way too, but, like, I'm a strict, like, no talking during the presentation. So it'll be like, we can do the, like, debrief afterwards,
Oh, yeah.
or if I've seen something and then because like, my A number 1 love language is sharing something I love with someone I love. So it'll be that thing, like, we'll be watching something, and then I'll be watching them and watching their
Like, "Huh?
reaction. Be
Huh?"
like, "It's amazing, right? Yeah, why am I single? I don't know. Oh my god."
No,
'Cause
I love
that's
that. That speaks to my
creepy as
soul.
fuck behavior. I love that though. Girl, okay. I'm gonna find time. I'm gonna check that out.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Work.
We can gossip about it
I
next
love
time we
it.
chat.
Yes.
Yay. All right. On an alien note, I guess, do you have a paranormal story for me? Doesn't have
I
to be an
sure
alien one.
do. I'm really sad it's not, honestly. I'm giving it away. It's
It's
not an
all right.
alien story, but I'm sad it's not after this combo.
I know. That would have been a nice transition. I mean, I kind of did like an alien adjacent story last week, so I got it. You got to
Yeah.
mix it up.
Yeah, I really enjoy this story, and I hope you will too. So, sources: Wikipedia, sfbayca.com, abc7news.com, sfeater.com, and The Spooked Podcast.
Love me some spooked. And we're going
Girl,
to San Francisco,
absolutely.
baby.
Uh-huh, yeah, that's right.
All right.
So Ryan Andrews was having a rough go of it. He had sustained a pretty intense injury that left him with a broken back and sciatic nerve damage
Damn.
in his right leg and up the whole right side of his body. In addition to being what I would imagine was very painful, this injury manifested as a lot of muscle spasms and involuntary muscle movement.
Oof.
Yeah, girl.
That's not fun.
hmm As he recovered, he wasn't really able to work, which put his living situation in jeopardy. Fortunately, Ryan was able to stay at an SRO, or single room occupancy, which is a type of affordable housing, often for low income individuals or people experiencing homelessness, consisting of individual rooms within a larger building where residents typically share kitchen and bathroom facilities. While SROs can be either permanent or transitional housing, they're made for long term stays of a month or more. The SRO Ryan was living at was in an old hotel in the Mission District in San Francisco. The 4-story building was over 100 years old and contained approximately 20 units. And it wasn't what you would call glamorous. Ryan said that it was the quote, kind of place that you would find people passed out in the hallway and not really want to bother them, end quote. But given that Ryan was minimally employed and the rent was $160 a week, he was just thankful that he had a room and a bed to sleep in every night instead of sleeping in his car. That being said, Ryan did get strange vibes from his new residence. He said, quote, "The building itself had this weird feeling to it. It felt like there was a lot of past energy built up, and you were walking into its world," end quote. Ryan's room was on the second floor, and his room was as no frills as you can get. His new quarters had just enough room to fit a twin bed, a nightstand, and a small triangle sink in the corner. One evening, shortly after Ryan had checked into his new digs, he was hanging out watching TV. It was around 8 or 9 p.m. when he heard someone knocking on the door. There wasn't any urgency to the knocking, and given that the SROs are predominantly transitional housing, Ryan just figured that it was someone who was looking for the room's previous tenant. And again, the room Ryan was staying in was very small, so it's not like he had to get out of bed and walk across the room to answer the door. All he had to do was turn around and he could open it.
Just reach out of bed.
Yep. I mean, my dorm was like that for sure. Like when I went to college, it was just like from my bed I could definitely open the door.
Honestly, that would be my DoorDash dream of just like open the door,
100%.
get my Taco Bell, eat it in bed. Amazing.
You're like, I don't even need to put on pants for
This
this. I
is
could just
great.
stay under my little quilt, open the door, please and thank you. So he did. But when he opened the door, there was nobody there. He looked down the hallway and not a soul to be found. Ryan said, quote, "I thought that's pretty fast to get down the hallway or get into another room without me seeing. That was my first heads up that there was something strange in the building." End quote. The following night, Ryan turned out the lights and had just laid down to go to sleep when all of a sudden there was a knocking at the door. It startled him as he wasn't expecting anyone. Again, he turned to open the door, and again, there was nobody there. Ryan said that it was really unnerving, but he tried to justify it. It's an old building, so sounds travel. Maybe the knocking was actually coming from someone upstairs, or maybe the tenant next door was like banging on something and it just sounded like someone was knocking on his door. Ryan didn't know, but his rationalizations quelled him enough that he was able to go back to sleep. On the third night, Ryan came back to his room and went straight to bed. He'd been out with friends and was dead tired by the time he got home. Then, at around 2 or 3 in the morning, Ryan was startled awake by the feeling of shaking. At first, he thought he was having a muscle spasm from his injury, but as he came to, he realized that the metal frame of his bed was banging against the wall and that the whole room was shaking.
No.
But
It's
being
San
that this was
Francisco.
California,
Earthquake.
right? Ryan was like, oh my God, we're having an earthquake. And at the same time that his room was shaking, somebody was banging on his door. But it wasn't like the previous knocks. Whoever was knocking was pounding on the door, quote, like the building was on fire, end quote. Ryan was disoriented and overwhelmed. He didn't know what was going on and was just trying to get his bearings when all of a sudden, quote, I feel 2 hands grab my ankles.
Nope.
I felt the fingers around my ankles pull me out of bed.
No.
End quote.
Stay
And
away from my fucking feet, Ghost.
girl,
No.
no. Please and thank you, Ghost.
Absolutely not.
No.
That's a hard limit for me.
And I'm definitely one of those that I sleep really hot. But even then, like, I will not have just my fucking like leg dangling outside of the fucking comforter just for like,
Oh,
you know,
no.
like a
No.
fucking like bait for whatever
No.
monsters are lying under my fucking bed. No fucking thank you. Absolutely the fuck not.
I'll peekaboo that for a second to get cool and then right back in.
Right back in immediately. Yep.
Nope. I last for
Mhm.
less than a minute and then I'm like, no.
And we're back in
Thank
the
you.
safety of under the comforter.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'll sweat.
correct.
It's okay.
And as soon as Ryan hit the floor, he bolted right back up, ready to fight whoever had broken into his room. And as soon as he switched on the light, the shaking stopped and the banging on the door stopped. Nobody else was in his room. He opened the door, and again, no one was there. As Ryan found himself standing alone and confused in his room, he looked down at the glass of water sitting on his nightstand. And he saw that none of the water had spilled out of that glass, meaning that it couldn't have been an earthquake. For a second, he thought that maybe it had all just been a terrible nightmare, except that there were now dents in the plaster walls that hadn't been there before from where the knobs on the top of the bed frame had violently banged against it.
What the fuck?
Girl.
Also, can we save this for business hours? I'm like trying to sleep.
Girl. 9 to 5 only, please.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like the rescue the rescue crew in your last story. Like, sorry, we have business hours. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Ryan was shaken to his core, but whatever that was, quote, that wasn't benign. That wasn't just somebody walking the hallway or something like that. That was personal. That was trying to get my attention. It put its hands on me. End quote.
Ugh. Full body chills. No.
Despite being confused and terrified, Ryan didn't report the experience to the SRO's manager and instead just went back to sleep.
Because, like, what are you going to say, even? Like,
right. Right.
I don't want people to think I'm crazy. Yes.
Right. And the thing is that Ryan had to be up for work very early the following day. And at that point, Ryan had been working 12-hour days. He was saving up to move into a proper apartment and he really needed the money. So he went back to bed because at that moment, quote, I wanted sleep more than I wanted answers, end quote, which, fair. When Ryan got out of work the following day, he was understandably freaked out with what happened and didn't want to go back to his room. So instead, he went to the Phoenix bar on Valencia Street. The Phoenix was your typical divey Irish pub. It was a quiet spot where you could watch the game, but also the type of place where you could just have a really good conversation with someone you just met. It was around 10:30 at night, and Ryan was seated at the bar, drinking a pint and watching the game. The bartender had started making her rounds to close up the place when Ryan saw a man wearing a hoodie with his hands in his front pockets come out of the bathroom and walk in his direction. Ryan recalled that he couldn't really see the man's face as his hood was pulled so far down, but that the man walked right along the back of the bar stools, and at about 10 feet away from Ryan, the mysterious man stopped and leaned over to ask the bartender something. Then Ryan says that the man just disappeared.
What the fuck?
Ryan asked the bartender and said, "Where did that guy go?" And she said, "What guy?" And he said, "The guy that leaned in and asked for something." But she replied, quote, "I don't know what you're talking about," end quote.
Bitch, get out of here. Don't gaslight me. Where is this ghost?
Girl. And Ryan couldn't believe what he had just seen, but he knew that it had something to do with the hotel that he was staying at because nothing like that had ever happened to him before. And it seems that ever since he moved into that SRO, all sorts of strange, unexplainable experiences seem to be following him. Ryan said, quote, "What is this building up to? I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know, but it gave me the feeling like I was playing in the middle of a freeway and it was only a matter of time before something bad was going to happen." End quote. And the thing is, this whole situation really bummed Ryan out because he was already down on his luck and he was working really hard to try and rebuild his life under wildly suboptimal circumstances. And he felt like there were literally supernatural forces that were trying to prevent him from doing that. And San Francisco can be a really hard city to live in. The cost of living is very high, and it's a very transient city that attracted a lot of what Ryan described as runaways and people that didn't necessarily want to remember where they came from. Because of the constant influx and outflow of people, it can be challenging to form lasting friendships and build a strong sense of community. Ryan wasn't a religious person, so he didn't have a priest or a pastor or rabbi or anything like that to go to for guidance. So instead, he went to his friend Virginia. Ryan said, quote, "She was kind of like a mother, but a lot of people might know her as the tamale lady." So
Oh my God.
let's talk
Yes.
about Virginia for a second because she's fucking awesome.
And she's got tamales.
Girl,
Delicious.
Virginia Ramos was born in 1953 in Jalisco, Mexico, where she learned how to make tamales from her grandmother when she was still a child. She married her husband not out of love, but because she, quote, "had no place to go," end quote.
Oh,
Which is
no.
such a real thing.
Yeah, you hear that a lot,
Mhm.
especially back in that time.
Yeah, for sure. The two lived together for almost 14 years when, in the 1980s, Virginia moved to the States and raised her 7 children. Girl,
Virginia.
girl.
Sweet baby, no. That's too many.
Mhm. Virginia's tamales were the bomb.com, so in the 90s, she turned her cooking skills into a business venture where she would go bar to bar with an insulated cooler selling her famous home cooked tamales to drunk and sober patrons in San Francisco's Mission District.
Brilliant.
Uh huh. She became a regular staple at bars like Zeitgeist, Lucky 13, and Shotwell's, just to name a few. But more than just offering people a tasty, affordable treat to sop up the alcohol, Virginia was a deeply caring person who loved her community and would do anything to help anyone. Martin Krankel, the bar manager at Lucky 13, described Virginia as a sweetheart. In the early aughts, Martin had gotten into a motorcycle accident. When Virginia heard, she went to Mexico and brought back lotions and medications she thought would help the bar manager in his recovery. In 2015, director Cecil Lossie made a short documentary about the woman referred to as a San Francisco institution named Our Lady of Tamale of Virginia. It's it's great. It's like
I
20 minutes.
love
You can
that
find it.
so
It's wonderful.
much. I love that so much.
Of Virginia, he said, quote, "She definitely had a motivation to provide food for the hungry, And I think she also wanted to be there for, she called them her people. I need to be there for my people. She was a safe person to talk to, and she was a zero bullshit type of person. She wasn't trying to be something she wasn't trying to be. She was just always humble and real. End quote.
Oh my God, I love this woman.
Oh my God, girl,
I feel like she's restoring my faith in humanity.
100%. Cecil, the director of this documentary, recalled an incident where he asked Virginia for advice about a friend who he was afraid was becoming addicted to speed. And without skipping a beat, the tamale lady told him, quote, "I'll go talk to him, spray some holy water around his house, burn some incense, do what we can for him." End quote. So Virginia took time out of her day and drove with Cecil to talk to his friend whom she had never met before. Former District 9 Supervisor David Campos described her as a, quote, "mentor, advisor, and friend to so many," end quote. Virginia's mantra was, "I don't know you, but I love you, honey." It was something she said so often that she had it printed out on a t-shirt that she was often seen wearing.
I'm not crying. You're
Girl, I'm
crying.
like literally like getting teared up, right? I might cry in this.
No, that gave me chills. That's so sweet.
Yes, and from the sounds of it, these were words that the tamale lady lived by. And so Ryan, like so many others, met Virginia after buying some of her delicious tamales late at night at one of the various bars in the Mission. Ryan became a regular customer, and the two struck up a friendship. Ryan had known Virginia for about 10 years when he started having these unsettling experiences. Not knowing where else to turn or who to confide in, Ryan decided to go to the tamale lady because, quote, "she was more than happy to lend you some solid advice if you asked for it," end quote.
Also, it seems like she's got a holy water connect. So,
You know,
yeah.
just saying. Because the interesting thing is, like, that's not brought up at all in the spooked episode, like the holy water thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing that, like, I was like, I'm sorry, who's this woman? Like, who's, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, she's just like
A literal
a
saint.
goddess amongst us mere mortals who also, like, makes bomb ass fucking tamales.
Oh my God.
And we don't deserve her.
Marry me, Virginia. Woman after my own heart.
But it was like, but when I saw that, I was like, because I was like, what? Why is what's going to happen very shortly going to happen? And then I found that little like throwaway line and I was like, okay, noted. Got it. So, hoping to get some guidance or a better understanding of what he had been going through, Ryan met up with his friend at another neighborhood bar named Zeitgeist and told her everything that he'd been experiencing and that he believed that these things were coming from another realm. When he told the tamale lady about the man that he had seen wearing the hoodie at the bar, Virginia asked the concerned Ryan if he noticed anything bright about the mysterious stranger, if there was anything that like illuminated from him. But Ryan said no. If anything, it was the opposite, that he seemed really dark. At that new information, the tamale lady took a beat, then told her concerned friend that what he was dealing with was a ghost and that this entity was really bad. She then said, quote, "When you go home tonight, somebody's going to give you something, and I need you to put this underneath your bed. It will keep those spirits from bothering you," end quote. And Ryan was basically like, okay, well, that's not like remotely helpful. Thanks for nothing, and forgot about it. A while later, Ryan made his way home, dreading going back to his room and whatever fresh new horrors awaited him. So he was walking down the street when he came up to a traffic signal. And across the way, there was a short woman who was wandering across the street. She was wearing a bunch of layers. She had on a sweater and a scarf and some sort of like hat covering her head. And it like, he doesn't outright say it, but it kind of seems like maybe like an unhoused person.
Okay.
It's kind of like the vibe that it sounds like. So Ryan was waiting for the signal to turn when this woman ran right into him. So peeved, Ryan turned around and was like, "Excuse me." And then the woman thrusts a box into his hand.
What the fuck?
Girl, it's a plexiglass box about a foot by a foot with a bunch of marbles in it. But they weren't the kind of marbles that you normally think of. These were all like solid color that they almost look like mini gumballs.
Huh.
And there was like 100 marbles, like 100 of these marbles in it. But the bottom of the box was a mirror that reflected the marbles back up, giving the illusion that there were way more marbles in the case than there actually were. And most curiously, the box was completely sealed. So there was no way to open the box to get the marbles out. So this random woman shoves this box of marbles into Ryan's hands and he's like, what the fuck? And he's trying to give it back to her, but the woman wouldn't take it. And she told the confused man, quote, put this underneath your bed and I'll leave you alone, end quote. And Ryan recalled that the woman said this really forcefully, quote, like I was bothering her,
Yeah,
end
bro,
quote.
because you won't take the box of marbles.
Hello, you have one fucking job here.
Hi, we even warned you.
And he just told her, okay, because like, what are you supposed to say to a crazy person on the streets in San Francisco? Which, if you've ever been, especially in the last like several years, like you're like, what? Sure, whatever, okay,
Whatever.
just leave me
Mhm.
alone, please don't kill me. Because also, okay, so here's the thing: it's not clear if Virginia sent this woman to give this to Ryan because it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like she just like
New?
psychically knew that this was going to happen or manifested it to happen or something. It's not like my friend, you know, Stacy is going to like meet you at this corner and give you this shit and you do it
I'm
doesn't
gonna
sound like
text
that.
her right now. She's got a box for you. Yeah, because that's what I was wondering. Like, is this one of
It's
her
not
minions or
said.
something?
It's not said. And especially since the woman's not like Virginia sent me, are you so and so, like,
And just to,
you
like,
know?
recognize him on the street,
Right.
it's not like she knocked on his door in the house.
Right.
Like,
Right.
this seems very random for something that was supposedly planned, scheduled.
I agree. Exactly.
Okay. I love it. It's just very
It's not clear,
yeah,
but
it's very
the
mysterious.
randomness of it leads me to believe that this wasn't a prearranged thing, and just adds to Virginia's powers as a magnificent person,
Yeah.
human, spiritual goddess. And and I say, and then I was like, it could literally just be me wanting it to be that.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, like so, like I said, it's not clear how this woman came to give Ryan specifically this strange box of marbles. Because again, like Virginia told him that night, somebody was going to give him something that was going to keep the evil spirits from bothering him. And this random woman seemingly randomly gives Ryan this box. So it stands to reason that Ryan now holds the solution to his poltergeist problem. But he didn't feel any relief. He was just like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck is this supposed to help me? But he did as the tamale lady prescribed, and he put the plexiglass box of marbles under his bed and went to sleep.
Okay, good. At least he's following instructions.
Mm-hmm. Nobody knocked on his door that night. Ryan said that when he woke up the following morning, the vibe in his room was completely different. He said, quote, it was like waking up in an old country house with the window open and the breeze is blowing in and it just smells so fresh and sweet. It was like a whole new fresh breath of air. I got up and got ready for work and thought, hey, maybe I'm having a good day, end quote. And the change in his demeanor was so evident that even the building's manager, who was at the front desk, asked him what was going on, and he didn't say anything. He just went to work and had a good day at work. Ryan said, quote, everything was like normal, end quote. A couple days later, Ryan ran into Virginia and told her what had happened. When he asked her why the marbles helped, she told him that, similarly to boo hags with brooms, that marbles distract spirits. It confuses them and gives them something to do rather than bother you. And Ryan was like, okay, great. Sounds good.
No further questions.
Great. A couple of days after he put the box of marbles under his bed, Ryan found an apartment and moved out of the SRO. He left the box of marbles underneath the bed, saying, quote, I felt like it was specific to that location, to those spirits, end quote. As he was checking out, Ryan had to meet up with the manager of the building to get his deposit back. And he told him, quote, there's a box of marbles in that room. Leave it in that room. And the manager asked him why. To which Ryan simply replied, "Ghosts." And instead of being like, "Okay, bro," that manager understood and said, quote, "Oh, that's what the feeling was," end quote. Ryan said, quote, "Yeah, I made them go away," end quote. And he left the SRO content that he had left it better than he found it. Virginia Ramos sadly passed away on September 27th, 2018. Generous until the very end. After she died, her daughters, oh my God, I'm sorry. Her daughters went through her things and found several receipts for funeral services their mother had paid for people she didn't even know.
Stop.
Because that's who Virginia was. During her brief time here, she touched the lives of thousands of people, not just with her food, but with her kind and generous spirit. And while she may no longer be with us in this physical plane, I have no doubt that the famous tamale lady is still listening, guiding, and helping others from the other side. And that was the story of when Ryan Andrews was being terrorized by ghosts, and Virginia Ramos, a San Francisco institution, helped him.
Oh my God. That's so
It's
sweet.
so sweet. I'm sorry. I knew that I was
No.
that was gonna get me at the end. Ah, she's amazing.
She sounds amazing.
Yeah. And what's super, she was in the process of trying to open her own brick and mortar business
No.
because she got shut down because the health department was like, you can't go bar to bar
Yeah.
and do this. And it's like I get it, but also what the fuck? Can't everyone just sign a thing being like, if I get food
acknowledge
poisoning
that,
from these
yes.
homemade, I acknowledge just whatever the fuck, and then just consent to it. But yeah, I love this story. I think it's there's so many things about it that remind me of other stories. Obviously the boo hag,
I thought that too with the
Brussels.
marbles. I was like, I wonder if that's a distraction thing for them.
So I tried to look it up to see if it was something that was specific to Mexican lore, and I couldn't find anything. The only thing I found was a Quora, because apparently there's also a phenomenon of people randomly finding marbles in their house.
Oh.
That just marbles will just start fucking appearing, and they're like, I don't have kids, I don't know where the fuck these marbles are coming from, and apparently that's a thing. But I found one comment being like, yeah, they fucking love, spirits love marbles and they love playing with them.
I mean, I love marbles, so I get it. But that seems really specific.
Yeah.
Huh. That is fascinating.
Yeah. And the knocking reminded me of the True Listener Tales at the Jane Hotel with the Titanic thing
Yeah.
of whether they're going to do the party at the Titanic, and there kept being the knocking, and it wasn't until she was like, I'm not going to do the party, okay, that the knocking stopped. Yeah.
That was so fascinating. I love that so much. We all need a Virginia Ramos in our life.
100%. You know
Yeah.
what? Get yourself a fucking tamale today.
Right?
Pour one out for Virginia.
I'm literally salivating thinking about them. Oh my God. I want one so badly now.
Girl, that's also a thing that was very late in my life, late in the game, that I got into
Tamales?
Yeah. Even though I'm Spanish and we would have them, I'd be like, that's something that I think I wouldn't like.
Really?
And then I had one, I'm like, egg on my face.
No, they're great.
They're incredible. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I was just dumb.
Is it also a Cuban thing? Is there a specific Cuban tamale as well? Or are they?
I don't think so. I think
I
the
didn't
Cuban
think that
thing
was really a Cuban food, really.
They'll be stuffed plantains or stuffed potato, is a thing.
Okay.
There'll be a fried potato, and in the middle will be it's almost like mashed potato, and in the middle you put I don't know how you say picadillo in English. Ground beef.
Okay.
Bilingual. Yes.
Hey.
Takes me a second.
I was not helpful in that. I'm sorry.
No, nor should you have been. So yeah, it's it's mashed potato, and you put ground beef in it, and then you fashion it to be a little ball.
Yes. Oh, they're
and then you fry it.
So fucking good.
Yeah, those are real good. I don't know that tamales are a Cuban dish, but
yeah, I didn't think so.
Family had them all the time, but I'd just be like, I've decided that's something I'm not gonna like. because, kids are dumb. And I was on that forever. And then as an adult, like someone gave me one. I was like, yeah, I'll like try it. And I was like, oh no, this is wonderful.
Why have I been sleeping on this? Where has this been my whole
Yeah,
life?
I'm just
Yeah.
fucking dumb. But yeah, fucking have yourself a tamale and think of Virginia. Send her some love. Because she doesn't know you, but she loves you, honey. And she's sending everyone love.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Thank you. I needed that this week.
Yeah. So it's not just a nice little heartwarming, uplifting stuff.
Yes. We all need that.
Girl.
The world is a grim place. Thank you so much for that story.
Of course.
I love that. I love Spooked. I love you. I love tamales. The trifecta.
I love you. Thank you. So are you ready to traumatize us, possibly? Are you ready to bring us down after this uplifting story?
Yeah. Yeah, I got some trauma for you today.
All right.
I feel like we went light for the past few weeks, so sorry, Donna.
Sorry, Donna.
So this might be slightly traumatic. I've tried to keep it on the lighter side, but it's the true crime portion.
It's still you doing it.
It's still me.
And don't ever change for a millisecond.
Thank you.
Not for
I
one
was like,
fucking
hi.
second.
You knew who I was when you met me, Monique.
Obviously. Obviously. I think we've talked about this before, that I'm always concerned in the very rare instance that I bring a fella over to my apartment, like what he's going to think of all the like sugar skulls and now the 8-foot skeleton. But I was like, you know what? I'm like, you know what? If you've made it to my apartment, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
It's not new.
There's no surprises here. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not what you'd call subtle. So.
No. And again, I love that. Never change.
Thank you.
So if you need a trigger warning for sexual assault, I'm not going to go into details, but it's there.
Yep.
I don't know if you need a trigger warning for this, but mentions of drugs and unsurprisingly, murder.
Yeah.
Again.
Yes.
It's the true crime portion.
Yeah.
So, sources, northjersey.com, The Washington Post, and blurredbylines.com. Tiffany Taylor's childhood was far from picturesque. She grew up in a public housing project in New Jersey in the 80s in an area that was affected by poverty, drugs, and violence. She said, quote, "I had 2 boyfriends got killed right in front of me."
Damn.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yes. And this is like all before she turns 18. So
Jesus Christ.
I can't imagine this life for 1 second.
No.
She continues, "One, I had to wash his brains off the ground."
Oh my God. Right out the fucking gate.
Yes. I need you to know the level. "I had guns put to my head a few times before by police and other people," end quote. When she was 18, Tiffany and her mother moved to Orlando, Florida, wanting a better life. Tiffany enrolled in Valencia College and began to study music engineering and psychology. But after 2 years, she got pregnant. She said, quote, "I wanted to be in gymnastics or an ice skater or a singer on TV or acting. But when I got pregnant, I pretty much gave up on everything."
Yeah.
She and her mother moved back to New Jersey, where she gave birth to her daughter. But her life in Jersey wasn't any easier than it had been before. And by her mid-20s, she had a bit of a drug habit and a criminal record, which made getting jobs difficult.
I'm sorry. Did she move to New Jersey just because like she had like a support system there in her family and all that? Is that why she moved back?
I'm assuming.
Okay. Because it sounded pretty fucking wild.
Yeah.
Prior to.
Didn't sound great, but
suboptimal.
Yes. She didn't really go into it, but I'm assuming that's why.
Right.
She eventually resorted to sex work just to provide for her family. But if she had the opportunity to rob them without having sex with them, she would do it.
Yeah.
She said, quote, "I just got tired of men just wanting sex from me all the time, looking at me like I was a sex object. So I just started taking their money," end quote. Which, get it, girl.
Fair.
I totally
Understood.
support this.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2016, Tiffany met Khalil Wheeler Weaver. He was hooking up with her best friend, who was a fellow sex worker at the time. And the 3 would hang out occasionally. Since she was 33 and he was 20, she called him Youngin'. They would drink beer and play the video game NBA 2K together. And apparently, Tiffany would kick his butt in this game.
Work.
Khalil was tall and attractive and was known for his nerdy aesthetic. He typically wore plaid shirts, khakis, and plain white Nikes. He had a charming smile, but everyone knew him as the quiet one. He didn't play sports, rarely attended parties, didn't date, and didn't have many friends. According to one of his classmates at Rutgers, quote, he kept to himself. He wasn't popular, but he wasn't bullied either, end quote. But apparently his friends saw a different side of him. His best friend described him as the funniest guy you could ever meet and said, quote, he doesn't talk too much, but when he does talk, he's hilarious, end quote. In college, Khalil started to DJ parties and bought a silver BMW. He'd grown up in a comfortable home in a quiet neighborhood in Orange, New Jersey. His stepfather was a police detective in East Orange, and his uncle was a retired detective from the Newark Police Department, which inspired him to explore becoming a police officer. He researched the required exams and training and became a security guard in the meantime. Although he was seeing her friend at the time, Khalil was obsessed with Tiffany. He liked her tattoos and her locks and the fact that she could drive a stick shift, which honestly, that is very impressive to me as well. So like, I get
yes.
it.
Yes.
Like, oh, hi, hello. You know how to switch gears?
My dad, for the most of his, at least the life that I knew him as my dad, he had a stick shift. And I remember when I was learning to drive, he refused to teach me on anything other than a stick shift car, even though they also had automatic cars. I made it kind of to the end of the block, and then I was like, I'm not doing this. And I got out of the car.
Yeah. After you've stalled out for like your 7th time in a row, you're just like, fuck this. I hate everything. No.
And he also was like not a good communicator. Like his brain and his mouth were not at the same speed, like kind of ever. That when I would have like friends or like, guys I was seeing like meet him, I'd be like, he's going to tell you a story. He's going to leave out huge chunks of it because his brain is saying it, but his mouth isn't saying it. So just like nod and smile and I'll fill you in on all of the parts that he like missed out on.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, no. So I was like, no, I don't. I'm very impressed by stick shift drivers. I'm like, girl, I don't know how to do that.
Same. My mom can drive a stick shift and drove a stick shift for many years.
Obviously, she's Diana. She's one woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I technically know how to drive a stick shift, and I have before, but I only can kind of do it on like the freeway. Like I can't do stop and go. We're at a million lights and I need to continue. Like I can shift till we get on the freeway
and leave it there.
We're good. One time when we were driving up to New Hampshire from Florida, we went through New York City for some reason, and I stalled out about 9 times in traffic on the George Washington Bridge.
Oh my God.
To the point that I was like near tears, and I put the car in park and I was like, you need to switch with me right now. Yeah. And we literally got out in the middle of the George Washington Bridge and switched so that she could drive because I was like, I can't.
That is completely reasonable to me, Amy.
Yes.
Like,
right?
Not even facetiously, 100%. I'd be like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. So I get it. That is wildly impressive to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Tiffany said, quote, he kept asking my friend to hook us up. I kept saying no because he was young and he was sleeping with my friend. I just didn't want to deal with him, end quote. Then Khalil started offering to pay her for sex. She told him no repeatedly, but he kept begging her. And eventually she agreed.
Ah, girl, no.
But she had no intention of actually sleeping with him and was planning to rob him instead.
Oh, girl, no. This is not the one to do this with.
No. Nope.
Not blaming at all, but oh, no.
Yep. Not a good situation. On April 10th, 2016, he texted Tiffany the address of his childhood home in Orange and told her to come over. When she arrived around 8 p.m., he handed her $200 cash up front, as agreed, and she followed him upstairs to his bedroom. She said the bed inside was small, clearly the one he'd slept in as a kid. She told him she forgot the condoms in her car and that she was going to go grab them and she'd be right back. But instead, she got in the car, cash in hand, and drove away.
Yeah, that's going to go great.
Yep. Over the next 7 months, Tiffany suffered even more hardship. Her mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and they were unable to pay the medical bills or even their rent. They were evicted from their apartment and started sleeping in Tiffany's car. And to top it all off, she found out she was pregnant again.
Fuck.
Yep. By November 2016, Tiffany had found a new hustle, though, procuring drugs for construction workers she knew. She would meet him at the room he rented at the Ritz Motel in Elizabeth, and he would give her the keys to his burgundy Lincoln sedan. She would then drive around to find dealers and buy him crack, and in return, he would pay her cash. During this time, she also kept getting calls and texts from an unknown number asking her to meet for sex. When she declined, he would offer her more money. She changed her number several times, but he somehow always managed to get her new number. She said, quote, "Every time he called my phone, he would say, 'I'm your future.' That sounded scary, like a threat, but maybe it was nice, you know? Your future could mean a lot of things. Maybe your future means a house and a wife."
No, girl, the gut reaction is always right.
Oh, Tiffany knows what the fuck is up. Tiffany is a
Yeah.
badass bitch, and I love her, and I'm obsessed with her.
Work.
She finally agreed to meet up with the unknown man on November 15th, 2016. But once again, she had no intention of actually having sex with him. She planned to get the money up front, then leave. She had him meet her at the Ritz Motel. The man arrived at 7:51 p.m. wearing black gloves, a black sweatshirt with the hood up, a hat, and a black ski mask.
Mm-mm.
She didn't recognize him, but only his brown eyes were visible. Since it was a chilly 50 degrees out, she didn't really think twice about the way he was dressed. She was more focused on the money. The two got in the Lincoln together, and Tiffany drove them away from the motel. After a few minutes, the man asked her to pull over so he could pee. As soon as she did, the man hit her on the back of the head, knocking her unconscious. When she woke up, she was handcuffed in the back of the car, and her head was wrapped in duct tape. The man had her in a chokehold from behind as he sexually assaulted her. She couldn't breathe and was convinced she was going to die. She passed out several more times as he strangled her. When she regained consciousness again, the stranger removed his ski mask, and Tiffany immediately recognized the man as Khalil Wheeler Weaver. She screamed and begged him not to kill her, telling him she was pregnant. He said, "I know." Chilling. Chilling.
Girl.
Yep. And Tiffany said she knew at that moment that he was going to kill her, but said, quote, "I wasn't planning on dying that day," end quote.
Go off. Yes.
Her life had been hard, and she'd been in plenty of dangerous situations before, and she'd taught herself to think quickly and stay calm to get out of them. The duct tape had loosened from her tears. She told him the handcuffs were too tight and begged him to loosen them. And he did. Tiffany said, quote, "Once he agreed to that, in my head, I said, 'I got him. He's weak,'" end quote.
Oh, shit.
Tiffany.
Work.
Again, I love her so much. Queen.
Go off. Fuck.
She immediately knew she could outsmart him, so she kept talking. She reminded him that their entire conversation was stored on her phone, and that all that information would connect him to her murder, and that her phone was back at the motel. He told her they needed to go back and get the phone. He climbed into the front seat and started the car, leaving Tiffany alone in the backseat with her wrists handcuffed behind her back. What he didn't realize, though, was that Tiffany is double jointed. So
Go off. Fuck yes.
No, I know. So as soon as he started driving, she immediately folded her left thumb into her palm and pulled her hand free of the cuffs without him noticing. She decided that if he drove past the motel without stopping, she would strangle him with the handcuffs from behind and risk getting in a car crash. She was worried she would die if that happened, but was prepared to accept it so long as it meant he died too. But Khalil didn't drive past. He pulled right into the Ritz parking lot. So she decided to go with plan B and quickly slipped her hand back into the cuffs. He parked, opened the back door, and ripped the duct tape from her face. Then he draped a jacket across her shoulders to hide the cuffs and told her what they were going to do. She would walk upstairs with him trailing a few feet behind. She would retrieve the phone from the motel room, then the two of them would leave together. Tiffany agreed to his plan, but she already had a plan of her own. She climbed the stairs and kicked on the door of the construction worker's room. The man, desperate for his drugs, opened it immediately. Tiffany rushed in and slammed the door shut, knowing the deadbolt would lock automatically. Khalil ran to the door and started yelling, "You lied. Come outside." Tiffany opened the curtains of the window and raised her right arm so he could see that she'd escaped the handcuffs. Her attacker immediately turned and fled the scene. But Tiffany wasn't done just yet. She wanted the police to catch him, so she immediately texted him. She told him that he still had the keys to the Lincoln, but that if he brought them back, she wouldn't call the police. But that was a lie, because she'd already called the police. She was hoping he'd come back with the car keys and the police would come at the same time. Khalil did return, and security cameras recorded him dropping the keys on the motel stairs, then running away. Tiffany said, quote, "He came back. He knew I'm a sneaky bastard. I had already lied to him like 3 times. How stupid can he be?" End quote. She also said, quote, "I think I always had the upper hand, actually, because he's really young. He's not experienced with people. And he's just so stupid." End quote.
Word.
Tiffany, I love you.
Obsessed.
Officers from the Elizabeth Police Department arrived at 9:28 p.m. Khalil was actually still there, but hiding and watching police from the shadows. He drove away about 10 minutes later. Tiffany told police that she'd been kidnapped and raped by a man named Khalil Wheeler Weaver, and that he'd tried to kill her. She gave them everything they needed to find him: his name, Facebook account, email address, their messages, and the approximate location of his home. But unfortunately, and unsurprisingly,
because she's a sex worker, they don't give a fuck.
They didn't believe her story,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that she still had handcuffs dangling from her wrist. She begged the cops to remove them, but they refused to do so for an hour while they questioned her, because they're assholes.
Obviously.
Yes, this is a very infuriating part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany said they treated her like trash and actually threatened to arrest her for prostitution instead of taking her seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Despite how badly she was treated by the authorities, Tiffany knew Khalil was dangerous and would likely attack somebody else if she didn't do something. So she decided to bypass the police entirely and go straight to the Essex County prosecutor. Unfortunately, Tiffany was correct, and just 1 week after she'd escaped from Khalil, he struck again. Sarah Butler was a 20-year-old college student home in Montclair, New Jersey for the Thanksgiving holiday. She came from a stable, 2-parent household, and the family had a close community centered around their church. She had 2 sisters and was the bubbly, driven middle child. She fell in love with dance and studied a fusion of ballet, modern, jazz, and African dance. She led the Montclair High School dance team and joined the Premier Dance Theater's traveling troupe. She won a scholarship from the dance school, and in June of 2016, their team finished 3rd at the Apollo Theater's famous amateur night.
Fuck yeah.
But money was tight for her family, so Sarah worked as a lifeguard and babysitter, which allowed her to buy a used car and pay for bartending classes, even though she was too young to actually work in a bar yet. She just wanted to be prepared. She was the first of her family to attend college. After commuting to New Jersey City University her first year, she decided to live on campus as a sophomore. She'd been excited to experience campus life, but she struggled to make friends and didn't get along with her roommates. So one day, she decided to visit a social media site called Tagged, an app that connects people looking for friendship, romance, and sometimes sex. It was there that she met a guy going by the screen name Lil Yacht Rock. After some back and forth, he offered Sarah, whose screen name was Sarah Smile, $500 for sex. To Sarah, $500 was a lot of money. But still, she hesitated. It's not something she'd ever done before. Sarah jokingly replied, quote, "You're not a serial killer, right? LMAO," end quote. He replied, "No."
Which is exactly what a fucking serial killer would say.
Right. Yep.
It's not like that, even though I don't think that's true when it's like, you have to tell me you're a cop. I don't think that's true, actually. But,
no, it's definitely not. No.
It's like, oh, man, you said the one thing. Now I have to say that I'm a serial killer.
I am. You got me. Sorry.
Damn.
Infuriating. After some debate, she agreed, and he told her he wanted to meet soon because he needed to leave for work. She agreed to meet, but changed her mind at the last minute and stood him up. 2 days later, though, she reconsidered and texted him, quote, "Sorry about the other day. I got really nervous. I felt like an ass, but your voice and your pic don't seem like a match." End quote. He responded, quote, "I'm a really cool guy when you get to know me." End quote. Eventually, Sarah decided to go through with it, and on the night of November 22nd, 2016, she asked to borrow the family minivan and drove to meet Lil Yacht Rock. She wore a red hair extension in a ponytail. At 9:55 p.m., she picked up Lil Yacht Rock at the address he provided, an abandoned house at 354 Highland Avenue in Orange. He was wearing a black sweatshirt with the hood pulled low over his face, black sweatpants, black sneakers, and tight-fitting black gloves. They drove to a 7-Eleven store a few blocks away. Sarah stayed in the minivan while the man got out and purchased a pack of Trojan Fire and Ice condoms. After that, they drove to the wooded hillside of Eagle Rock Reservation to the Hylon Pavilion, a restaurant and wedding venue with a clear view of Manhattan, and they parked in the restaurant's valet lot, which was hidden behind the trees. When Sarah inevitably didn't return home that night, her older sister, Basania Daly, immediately started texting friends asking if anyone had seen Sarah. All the calls to her phone went to voicemail, and the family started to panic. On November 5th, 3 days after Sarah went missing, Basania's friend found the family's blue minivan abandoned behind an old factory and immediately called the police. Basania and a friend, Lamia Brown, arrived at the scene around the same time as the police. It was Lamia who eventually noticed Sarah's red hair extension on the ground and pointed it out to police. The women knew immediately that Sarah wasn't simply missing. Something bad had happened to her. This was further confirmed when police discovered duct tape with red strands of hair in the van. But without a body, they were still treating this as a missing persons case. The women refused to give up, though, and decided to take matters into their own hands, with help from another friend named Samantha Riviera. They drove to Sarah's home and opened her laptop. The girls shared everything with one another, including their passwords. So they logged into Sarah's email and Facebook and started searching for clues. Then they logged into Sarah's account on Tagged and saw she'd been chatting with a man called Lil Yacht Rock, and based on their messages and the timing, they knew they needed to find him. So Samantha created a profile on Tagged using someone else's photo and a fake name. Lil Yacht Rock's profile was among the first to appear, and she immediately sent him a thumbs up. Then they waited. Over the next few days, Basania and her friends spent lots of time at the Montclair Police Headquarters, giving statements and waiting for any news about Sarah. It was while they were there, on November 26th, that Samantha received a message from Lil Yacht Rock on Tagged. He said his name was Taj and immediately offered Samantha's fake persona cash for sex, telling her he needed to meet soon before he left for work. Everything he said to her mirrored his messages to Sarah before she disappeared. The offer of money, the rush to meet, everything. And the women were immediately suspicious. The man suggested they talk on the phone. Samantha agreed and put the call on speakerphone. Thinking on her feet, Basania decided to open the camera on her phone and recorded the conversation on video. The women were literally standing outside the police station, but the man didn't catch on. He asked if he could come by and see her right then, but they knew they needed more time and more information. So Samantha lied and told him she had a baby at home and couldn't leave until her sister arrived. Then she started a three-way call with Basania, who pretended to be her sister, to sell the story. But even as she stalled, she baited the hook, telling him she wanted to meet for sex and she was desperate for money. She told the man she would meet him at a Panera Bread in Montclair. Panera, get that cheesy bread bowl. Love it.
I mean, nothing gets me in the mood like a Panera, girl. Obviously, I'm a soup slut, so
Yes.
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 Oh my God.
Which was just a mile from the police station. After they hung up, the women immediately went to the cops and told them about the planned meeting. The three women stayed there while the police sent 2 detectives to the meeting in their place. When confronted by the police at Panera, the man going by Lil Yacht Rock, who'd said his name was Taj, gave the officers his real name, Khalil Wheeler Weaver. They questioned him, but since they had no body and no evidence of a crime, They eventually had to let him go.
Oh,
I know. I know. Authorities instead worked on following the trail of Sarah's iPhone for evidence. Its last location ping was from Eagle Rock Reservation on the night she disappeared. On December 1st, they went to investigate the area and found Sarah's body near the valet parking lot. Her body had been covered with leaves and twigs, but her hands and feet were left exposed. There was a pair of sweatpants tied tightly around her throat. On December 6th, 5 days after Sarah's body was discovered, police finally arrested Khalil Wheeler Weaver. While he was in custody, all communications by Lil Yacht Rock, as well as his other false names, Taj and Pimp Killer Ghost, stopped. Investigators were able to use his cell phone data, text messages, and Google searches to connect him to Sarah's murder, as well as 2 other murders.
of course. Yeah.
Of course. 19-year-old Robin West and 33-year-old Joanne Brown had both been engaging in sex work when they encountered Khalil. For Robin West, it was her first night walking the street. A more experienced friend was with her. Khalil was her first and last customer. When she got in the silver BMW, her friend took down his license plate number and saved it in her phone. He drove to an abandoned house at 472 Lakeside Avenue in the city of Orange and spent an hour inside, according to his phone records. He left at 1:27 a.m., and 23 minutes later, a neighbor called to report that the house was on fire. Khalil circled back to watch it burn. Firefighters found a body inside, but it was so badly damaged that it took 2 weeks for investigators to identify Robin West using dental records.
Jesus.
She died less than a week before her 20th birthday.
Ugh.
On October 22nd, Khalil picked up Joanne Brown while she was walking the street. She used a phone to call a friend to check in when they'd reached their destination, an abandoned house at 354 Highland Avenue in Orange. Her body was found there 7 weeks later by a pair of contractors. Her head had been wrapped in duct tape from her eyes down to her chin, and she'd been strangled with a jacket. The house was the same one Sarah Butler had picked Khalil up from the night she was murdered.
Jesus.
In fact, Joanne's body had still been inside. Right?
Full body chills. Oh my God.
The fucking thought of that haunts me.
Yeah.
Police from 2 separate cities had questioned Wheeler Weaver as a suspect during his murder spree.
And literally couldn't be bothered to give a fuck.
Yes. Which, like, we know is a thing, and a lot of the articles get into it, of just like this lack of concern for people because of their profession. Most of them did not choose and had to do just to survive. It's heartbreaking. Actually heartbreaking.
It's just a human being, man.
Yes.
And it's your job.
It's so fucked. Yeah.
Ugh, God.
One in Robin's case, since his license plate had been tied to the crime, and the other in Sarah Butler's. Both times, he accompanied officers on driving tours where he showed police where he'd met the women, where they drove together, and where he last saw them, safe and alive, according to him. But his phone records were able to prove that everything he told the police was a lie. His location data showed that he'd been at the abandoned houses where Robin and Joanne had been murdered, that he'd been at and near the Ritz Motel the night Tiffany Taylor was attacked, and that he'd been in Eagle Rock Reservation the night Sarah Butler was killed. He also had a lot of really suspicious Google searches on his phone.
Gee.
Shocker. Like ways to kill people with bleach, how to make homemade poisons to kill people, can text apps be traced, Union, New Jersey missing persons, etc.
My head is in my hands because of how, like, this is what drives me crazy. He's so dumb.
Yeah. As Tiffany
so
said,
dumb.
He's so stupid.
And he got away with so much shit, which he shouldn't have, because the cops could not be bothered to give a fuck. It's not like, and what's crazy is this guy thinks that he's like a fucking genius, and he's like, oh, wow, I'm amazing. When it's like, no, you're actually like really dumb and the worst, and it's just because the system is corrupt as fuck, and like cops can't be bothered to give a fuck about a human being, especially a woman, unless it's like their daughter or their fucking mom or whatever the fuck.
Yes. The fact that after the first murder,
She's basically like,
her
girl,
friend
this is his
literally
social. Like,
handed
this is everything.
literally handed the police his license plate and was like, hey, it's this guy she was last
He
seen
lives
with.
here. This is his social, like everything. Not even before the first murder, because hey, it's escalation,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure they teach you in cop school. I'm guessing. I don't know. I've never been.
It's so fucked and infuriating. Yes.
Flames on the side of my face. And that's what kills me, is when they're so bad at it and they're so fucking stupid and they get away with it for so long, and people needlessly die because cops can't be bothered to give a fuck.
Yes. Yes. Again, if they had just believed Tiffany, you
Mhm.
could have prevented another murder.
Ask a question.
Yeah.
2, if you're feeling saucy. Girl.
It's so infuriating. Yeah, and
Yeah.
take the fucking cuffs off the person who says they've been kidnapped immediately, regardless of whether or not you believe them.
But because this is also like, let's like use our like thinking caps. Why would a sex worker, knowing full well what they're doing is illegal, call
Yes.
the cops,
Yes.
knowing full well that they're probably going to be like, well, you know that like sex work is illegal, so we're going to book you.
Yes.
Why are you going to put yourself in that position?
They, in one of the articles, make a point of pointing this out of like, they
Hello?
don't want to call the cops. Like, ever.
Ever.
So, like, if they actually go to the trouble and run the risk by calling them, like, take them fucking seriously. What would be the point of calling the cops and lying and creating this story? For what?
For what? To also get a perjury charge, which like whatever, like they rarely prosecute, but like still, it's doesn't help you at all
No,
in any way.
it's insane. It's so infuriating. 3 weeks after Tiffany escaped from Khalil Wheeler Weaver, she read a newspaper story that he'd been arrested in connection with Sarah Butler's murder. She immediately came forward and offered to testify in the case against him. In December 2019, Wheeler Weaver was accused of 11 felonies, including 3 counts of murder. Prosecutors took 3 years to investigate Wheeler Weaver's crimes before bringing their case. Their evidence ranged from everything from traditional canine searches to cutting-edge tools like the Zephyr machine, a device created by NASA that allowed investigators to melt Wheeler Weaver's smartphone and harvest its data without his password, which I've never heard of this before.
What?
And this is crazy. Yeah.
Me neither.
But like apparently this has been around since like 2016. Like, why aren't we doing this all the time?
Yeah, girl.
I don't know. But I thought that was fascinating.
I've never heard of this.
Apparently it's a thing. NASA needed to get into fucking phones.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah, they need those alien cell records, Monique.
Girl.
Where have you been? What's your location? Find my alien. Tiffany Taylor testified during his trial and described in open court the failures of the Elizabeth police, saying, quote, "If the police had believed me, Sarah Butler would still be alive," end quote. Facts, Tiffany.
Yeah, louder for the
Thank
back.
you. She told jurors how she robbed him, lied to him, how he'd strangled her, and how moments later she, quote, "played him for a fool," end quote. Get it.
Go off.
I'm obsessed with you, Tiffany. Wheeler Weaver maintained his innocence.
Of course.
Of course, which I wanted to say shocking too, but not at all because they always fucking do.
Despite fuck tons of evidence.
Literally all the evidence. Like, hey, we have a map of everywhere you've been that lines up perfectly with all these murders, bro.
Even evidence we didn't know was possible to get. They're like, NASA's like, hi, can I enter the chat, please? Thank you.
Do you want to melt his phone? I got you, girl.
Got you.
And he claimed he was framed for the murders.
Hard
eye roll.
Jerk off motion.
Yep.
Fuck off.
Tiffany told the judge, quote, "My whole life is different. I don't wear makeup anymore. I don't have friends. I'm always paranoid. But I'm happy to still be here. I hope you don't show him any remorse because he's not showing any remorse," end quote. Sarah's father, Victor, asked the judge to hand down the longest maximum sentence possible and said, quote, "I hope that he lives for a very long time and they make him suffer every night in there like he made our girl suffer."
Fuck yeah.
He then turned to look at Wheeler Weaver and said, quote, "I hope you suffer, boy, every night," end quote.
Fuck yeah.
Yes. Khalil Wheeler Weaver was convicted on 3 counts of murder and also found guilty of Tiffany Taylor's kidnapping, sexual assault, and attempted murder. On October 6th, 2021, he was sentenced to 160 years in prison. So,
yes.
fortunately, he
Bye.
will never get out on the streets to do this to anyone ever again.
And he's like 20 when this, like,
He was 20 during the murders
That's
and like
fucking
25 when he got
wild.
sentenced. Yeah.
what a waste of a life. And just like, what the fuck?
And just like, if this is the level you were already at 20, like,
Mhm,
thank
mhm.
God they caught you early.
Yeah. I mean, they could have caught him earlier, obviously, but like,
I mean, yes. Again, it's the most infuriating part of this fucking story.
mhm.
3 weeks before the trial, Tiffany moved into a new apartment. But even though things are looking up for her, she still struggles from PTSD from her attack.
Yeah, no shit.
Yep. And during one panic attack, she ran across a 6-lane highway. She said, quote, "I thought some guy was chasing me. When I'm out in public, I don't want to be out by myself, but I don't want to be around anybody either. I live a really paranoid life," end quote.
Mm.
To help soothe her nerves, she sleeps with a Bible under her pillow. Although Tiffany's unborn daughter nearly died when she was strangled by Wheeler Weaver, 5 months after the attack, she was born healthy. Tiffany said, quote, "After what he did to me, I'm scared for both of my daughters," end quote.
Fair. Yeah.
Which gave me chills and is fair and just like, because that's the fucking world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
From September to December of 2016, 20-year-old Khalil Wheeler Weaver brutally raped and murdered 3 women. Tiffany Taylor, who managed to escape her November 2016 attack, is his only known living victim.
Damn.
But thanks to Tiffany's quick thinking and the investigative efforts of Bassina Daly and her friends, a serial killer was stopped and finally brought to justice. And that is the story of the murders of Sarah Butler, Joanne Brown, Robin West, and the attempted murder of Tiffany Taylor by serial killer Khalil Wheeler Weaver.
Tiffany, what a queen.
Queen! I'm obsessed with her. I love her so much.
Yeah.
I love that she just like taunted him with the handcuffs and was just like, "He's so dumb. Why did he believe me? I literally lied to you 3 times."
Yep.
Ugh.
Ugh. I hope she gets the help that she needs because she sounds rad as fuck and deserves to live like a full, happy life that's not, where she's not scared and paranoid. But also, I understand why. Obviously. I get it.
Yeah. But no, she's amazing. And that's why cops need to take everyone seriously.
It's just like, just put on your thinking caps. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Why would she call you and put herself at risk if she was lying?
Yeah.
She literally still had the handcuffs on. Bro.
Yeah.
It's just so, so infuriating.
Especially since that's such a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, in the Beauty and the Beast, that's not it. It's this. It's,
It's
cops like
this.
not believing sex workers and just like not seeing them as human beings,
Yes.
actually. But I did not know the story. I had not heard of it. Thank you so much. Did an excellent job as per usual.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Fuck this guy. I'm glad he's gone forever.
Fuck this guy.
Bye.
Yeah. Infuriating. Absolutely infuriating.
Ugh, I'm so mad. I'm so mad at him.
I know.
And the cops.
I know. And again, like Tiffany pointed out, like if they had believed her, Sarah would still be alive.
Yeah.
It's so fucked.
Well, I hate this piece of shit,
Yeah.
but I adore you.
I adore you. Thank you so much for your story.
Of course.
Marbles under the bed. Who knew?
Girl. And Virginia. What a queen. We did have 2 queens in this episode, which I love.
Yeah. Tamale Queen, Tiffany Queen.
Work. But I love you so much. And thank you so much for your story. And we love you so much. This is another fucking horror podcast. I'm Monique Sanchez.
And I'm Amy Traden.
You can find me on the gram at PinUpGirlMo.
You can find me at Lobotomy, and that's Lobot Amy.
Guys, we're going to New Orleans. See see us live October 4th. And if you're into like more spooky shit, October 3rd, we're doing a true crime ghost vampire tour in the Quarter. It's going to be amazing. Check that shit out. Get your tickets. Early bird pricing ends pretty soon in the next week or so. So if you like a deal like I do, get your booty onto anotherfuckinghorrorpodcast.com and snag your tickets to see us live in New Orleans. Great way to start spooky season. Also, every 6th episode, we do a True Listener Tales episode where we read you your true crazy stories. So if you have one or you just want to say hi, you can email us at anotherfuckinghorrorpodcast@gmail.com. But if you just love us and you want to support us in a pretty easy way, you can rate, review, and subscribe to our show. Because the more reviews and ratings we have, the more visibility we get, so that someday, hopefully sooner rather than later, we can do this full time and just horrify you with infuriating stories of police incompetence, but hopefully give you some, light at the end of the tunnel of like, not everyone's a piece of shit stories, like Virginia Ramos. But yeah, we would love it if you guys would rate, review, and subscribe. That'd be awesome. But always, we have one request, is that you keep it cute.
Keep it creepy.
Bye.
Bye.